What's up, everybody? Good morning and a happy Tuesday to you all. A DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Appreciate you tuning in however you're tuning in from, whether it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, streaming us online at sportstalk1051.com. Got the app, download it, take it on the go. Video streams also up and rolling on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch this morning. Happy April, by the way, everybody. Switching the calendar on over here. What do we got on our good old game plan for us this morning? Well, it is April 1st. It is April Fool's Day. So with that, I gave you a little bit of a homework assignment yesterday. And I've got my list. Wonder if any of you have your list. Posted it up on socials last night, too, to give you all a head start. But with it being April Fool's Day today, put your brains to the test here. Let me know the players or teams that draft picks, free agents, trades, whatever, that you thought were major hits, gonna be awesome picks, gonna be an awesome trade, a signing, or this team was gonna be a great team, and you got fooled. You got burned. You're probably not the only one with some of your picks or with your list and such. So send those on over. I've got, oh boy, probably close to 20 that I'm on here, and I could probably add a few more. I'm just blanking on a little bit here, so might have to steal some of yours. But kind of our little fun poll, informal poll question, however you want to call it. Send those on over. The players, the draft, whether they're draft picks, trades, free agents, or the teams that you thought were going to be just absolutely awesome and spectacular. But you got fooled. You got fooled. Hit me up with those texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. And I'll just say, like, all mine, yours doesn't have to be. All mine are Wisconsin sports related. So, but yours doesn't have to be. So, with that, and you cannot pick this year's Brewers team. I'm not allowing that one. Sorry. Can't do that. But yeah, another loss yesterday for the Crew, 11-1 in the home opener. Brewers 0-4 to begin the season. Put this in perspective a little bit. Brewers last year never, ever lost 4 games in a row. Shouldn't say ever. Just last year. They never had a 4-game losing streak. It was the only team last year to not have a 4-game losing streak. And they've already gotten a 4-game losing streak to begin the season. So not a fantastic start for the Brewers. Just 6 hits, 1 run scored for the Crew yesterday. Yelich went hitless. Cheerio picked up a hit. Sal Frelick continuing his. I mean, that's one of the positives, I suppose, to begin this season. He picked up another hit, got on base twice with a walk. Other than that, not a whole lot to write home about. Rodriguez getting the start, went 4 innings, gave them a little bit of depth, but he gave up 4 earned runs, including 3 in the first to put the Brewers in a hole right away. And then you had Peguero giving up 4 earned runs. Anderson after that, 3 earned runs. So the only positive from the pitching side was Hudson, even though that was a little bit of a struggle in his 1 inning of relief. Did strike out 2, but also issued 2 walks, no hits. So Brewers will try to pick up their first win tonight, first night game for the Brewers, as this series with the Royals continues. And going on the mound for the Crew is going to be Chad Patrick. Chad Patrick. Yesterday, too, before the game, the Brewers making it official with Aaron Savale. He is on the 15-day injured list, and injuries just continue to mount up for the Crew. But be nice if the Brewers pick up a win tonight, and then with Freddie Peralta getting the start on Wednesday, at least you feel maybe a little confident that they could pick up that win and get a couple of wins here. But how do you feel about tonight's game? And I mean, overall impression so far for this team, probably not a whole lot of positives surrounding it, right? So, but we'll talk some Brewers, talk some baseball overall throughout this morning. Also, Bucks back at it. Another Milwaukee team that's not doing too well. Bucks trying to end their 4-game losing streak as they start to wrap up their regular season. Bucks currently in that 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. Needed to take care of their business, but also get some help if they want to move up a little bit in those standings. They're 1.5 back from the Pistons, 3.5 back from the Pacers in the standings. I think at this point we just want to see some positive stuff with this Bucks team as they inch closer to the postseason. But we're less than double-digit games away from the conclusion of this regular season. We don't have a lot of teams that have clinched spots yet. When you look at the Eastern Conference, you pretty much know who is going to be in the playoffs. You've got, your top 10. Only one team is outside the top 10 that hasn't officially been eliminated yet, and that's Toronto. But it's getting close because Chicago's that 10th seed in the Eastern Conference, and Toronto is 5 games behind them. So, I mean, it's pretty close here. So we pretty much know who the 10 teams are in the East. There's some shuffling around in terms of standings and such. But the West is even more wild. Only 2 teams have officially been eliminated from playoff contention in the Western Conference, and only 1 team has clinched a spot in the playoffs in the Western Conference, and that's Oklahoma City, who is just right now on a tear, won their last 10 games in a row. And you look at the standings, Oklahoma City in first, the second place Houston Rockets. That's right. Second place Houston Rockets are 14.5 games behind OKC, for crying out loud. So, I mean, they're just dominating the Western Conference at this point. But we'll talk some Bucks as we start to wrap up this regular season. But also staying with hoops, Badger basketball. We're going to talk to RJ Cardinal coming up in a couple hours. But Badger basketball, yesterday, Daniel Freitag, the highly touted point guard who we thought maybe last year as a freshman we were going to see get some action early on. And even after, this is why it's like no fault to these athletes and to these kids. But, after the season or toward, even in the tournament, you heard Daniel Freitag say, he was going to stay at Wisconsin, no plans and such. That's changed. He announced yesterday that he is entering the transfer portal, saying, "My time at UW has been an enjoyable chapter of my life. The relationships I've built with my brothers here have meant everything to me, and I'm grateful for it all. Every challenge and obstacle will make me a better man, and I wouldn't trade the adversity for anything. I never thought this day would come, but I'm aware God doesn't make mistakes. Through his all, I will continue to trust his plan for my life and career. To the Wisconsin fans, thank you for the support from the moment I arrived on campus. It has not gone unnoticed. It has been amazing to experience. A special thank you to the guards who took me under their wing. There will always be a special spot in my heart and in my mind for my amazing teammates. After much thought and prayer, I've decided to enter the transfer portal. I'm looking forward to the next step, but I'll always be grateful for my time as a Badger." So, and he had made comments during the tournament and such, saying, unless they didn't want me here, he'd still planned on being at Wisconsin and such. So definitely a very, something change of hearts in the last, last couple weeks or so. But it's a bummer, and we can speculate if anything happened or such, or I don't know. I don't want to throw out anything like that, but we kept hearing about this kid for the last couple of years, and it's a bummer not to be able to see him get regular playing time as a Wisconsin Badger. So, but we'll talk more about that with RJ coming up in a couple hours from now. So, it is also a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So, what's grinding your gears? Let us know. hit me up with those texts with what's grinding your gears. We'll continue our Packers potential prospect series coming up here too. We're going to take a look at. We've been really focusing on defensive players so far, and we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to take a look at a couple of wide receivers. So we'll take a look at a couple wide receivers here today. Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas, and Jaden Higgins, wide receiver from Iowa State. So we'll focus on a couple of those dudes coming up a little bit later on. So lots to get to here this morning. Let's jump right into it. We've got the leadoff coming up here. We'll talk some Brewers, but send me your players, teams that fooled you. You thought were going to be great. Hey, we've all had it. I mean, like I said, I think I've got close to 20 right here, and I'm missing out on a bunch more, and I might have to take some of your picks here too. But who are the players, who are the teams that you thought were going to be, or the moves? Maybe a coach hire too. Throw that in there. You thought this coach was going to be awesome, and it didn't work out. Maybe you were a big Ray Rhodes fan in '99. I don't know. Or Ken Maka for the Brewers. But whoever that was, whatever it was, let me know, and let's compare our picks. See if we got a common one for a lot of people. It could be teams, can be individuals and such. So continue to send me those and send me your Grind My Gears Tuesday. Let's jump right into it, though. We're going to take a quick break, and then the leadoff. Talk a little baseball, talk a little Brewers baseball here this morning. Brewers still looking for their first win. Will it come tonight with Chad Patrick getting the start? Let's talk about it. Coming up next. Have you started your spring cleaning yet? Hey, don't worry if you haven't. I haven't either. But spring cleaning doesn't just have to be dusting the shelves or cleaning the windows. It should also be for doing some updating and remodeling in your home. And now maybe you have some extra money from your tax return. Don't you want to invest it into something that will last? But what do you invest in? New floors, of course, whether it's for your home or workspace. Carpet City Flooring Center Eau Claire is your flooring headquarters. If it's carpet, luxury vinyl planks, or tile that you seek, they've got the best options at the best prices in the area. My family has used Carpet City Flooring Center Eau Claire many times over the years, and we've been so impressed with each project, whether it was redoing the stairs with some new carpet, or doing the bedrooms with some new carpets, or tiling the man cave, the vinyl floors in the laundry room. Carpet City Flooring Center has helped us select the best floor for each project that fits our budget, and they will do the same for you. So give them a visit and let the team at Carpet City Flooring Center help you totally transform your space with some brand new, awesome looking floors. All right, we begin this morning talking some Brewers baseball as well. There's not really been anything positive to talk about when it comes to this Brewers team to begin the regular season. Another loss yesterday for the Crew, 11-1 with the Royals in the home opener yesterday. Not a lot of offensive production and struggling again with the pitching. You had Rodriguez getting the start yesterday for the Brewers, putting themselves in a hole right away with 3 runs in the first inning. Rodriguez did give them 4 innings of work, which, before the game, Pat Murphy was hoping for around 80 pitches, maybe around 3 innings and such. So able to get through 4 and maybe help out that bullpen there a little bit. But in 4 innings of work for Rodriguez, giving up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 Ks, and a home run. And then after that, Hudson came in for an inning, gave up a couple walks, but did strike out 2 no earned runs. And then after that, Peguero goes in for an inning and a third, gives up 4 earned runs on 4 hits. And then Anderson in 2 2/3, 4 hits, 3 earned runs for him. So pitching continuing to struggle for the Brewers, but yesterday too, no offense, only just 6 hits for the Brewers. And when you look at the top of their lineup, their top 4 hitters, just 1 hit between Chirio, Yelich, Contreras, and Hoskins. And it was that double from Chirio that led to the game's lone RBI. Other than that, Chirio also struck out 3 times. You had Contreras striking out 2 times, did get a walk. Hoskins got a walk, struck out himself too. So, I mean, top 4 in that lineup, not really doing anything yesterday either. Frelick getting on base a couple times with a hit and a walk, and he's kind of been the lone bright spot so far offensively, really, for the Brewers this season. In the first 4 games, don't want to overreact, don't want to have a overreaction Tuesday with just 4 games. But really, when you look at it from an offensive standpoint in these first few games, Sal Frelick's been the most consistent, at least production-wise, at the plate. And with his .429 average, Bryce Serang still leads the league or team in runs scored, tied up there with RBIs with Bowers and such. So not a ton of offensive production to go with some of the pitching issues that this team has had in the first 4 games of the season. And I'll be honest, I really don't know what to expect from Chad Patrick tonight for the Brewers. I guess I'm going to go in with no expectation and maybe not be surprised with whatever we see from Patrick. We saw Patrick against the Yankees just a couple days ago. 1 inning, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, issued a walk. Also had a strikeouts on his record too. So we'll see what he's got in store here as the initial outgetter or the opener for the Crew, but hoping that he can give the team maybe kind of something similar in terms of length and innings that Rodriguez did for the Brewers yesterday. Hopefully not the same amount of runs and putting the team in a hole. But I mean, with this pitching conundrum that the Brewers are in right now with their injuries and their level of play, it puts more pressure on this offense to step it up and help out this ball club. Your top four, again, cannot have just one hit between the four of them. You can't have, and that hit coming late in the game when the game essentially was decided. That can't happen. You can't have Cheerio have another game where he's got multiple strikeouts hitting in that leadoff spot. You have to have Yelich be able to be a producer, a threat in that lineup. You have to get Contreras going here. Hoskins has to show that power. So, I mean, this offense with the issue, and the thing is, the pitching, it's not going to get solved here in the next, day or two. It's going to take a couple weeks until Tobias Myers and Quintana are able to get back into that rotation and hopefully stabilize things with this pitching staff. So it's up to this offense, for crying out loud, to step it up and kind of, lead this ball club. Not saying that it's got to be the offense be all tell all and giving any excuses to the pitching staff, because I mean, for crying out loud, those guys got to step it up and be a little bit better too. I saw this statistic yesterday. This was from Buster Olney. The Brewers ranked dead last in average pitching four-seam fastball velocity in 2025 by far. So their number is 88.9 miles per hour. 88.9 miles per hour. The second worst is the Yankees at 93.6. Now, I don't know if they're counting when Bowers went in for a couple of games and such, if that lowered the miles per hour, but that's oof. And you want to talk about comparing it to the tops, and this was Buster from 14 hours ago, so the numbers are probably a little bit adjusted. But you got the Reds and the Rays, 96.2 miles per hour. You're talking about nearly an 8 mile per hour difference on your four-seam fastballs between these two ball clubs. I mean, for some people, an 88 is a changeup or pretty darn close to it. And it's been rough, incredibly rough. And as Bob Nightingale said, too, after the game, maybe it's not the torpedo bats. The Brewers, at that point, were down 10-0 to the Kansas City Royals after giving up 32 runs to the Yankees in the past two games. So we talked about it yesterday. Maybe we need a bigger sample size on this thing. And boy, you look at what the Brewers did yesterday, and you're like, yeah. And I saw it too, not to completely get off on the Brewers, but Ellie De La Cruz apparently tried a torpedo bat for the first time last night. And dude had 7 RBIs with a couple home runs. So, again, we'll maybe get a bigger sample size on this. But, yeah, he apparently tried it last night and had himself a game, 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. He said after the game, I tried it today and I felt comfortable with it. I felt really good. There is no difference to traditional bats. It just feels good. So, yeah, we're probably going to see more players do it. And that's, you know what? If it's legal, go and do it. I hope, Brewers players at least try it. If it's legal, Major League Baseball's obviously approved it. They've said it multiple times. They've been approved. Why not do it then? If it's going to help out some of these hitters. It's not going to help out everybody. Not everybody's going to want to use the bat. Not everybody's going to have a change in production or an increase in production or whatever, but it's worth a shot, isn't it? It's worth a shot, I think, at least. But that's just me. And I do think we're going to see more and more players, not only from the Brewers, but across the league in the coming days, in the coming weeks. They're going to try this thing out. And why not? But you're not going to find a lot of people outside of Trevor McGill on this Brewers team that are using the torpedo bats from the Yankee series as an excuse. I mean, just look at yesterday too against the Royals and that. But you're not going to find a ton of excuse makers on this ball club, and Christian Yelich is one of them too. Saying it's just 4 games, but we got to do better. It's unacceptable to do that. There's different kind of losses, but we're better than that. All talk is cheap at this point, and it's time to see guys like Christian Yelich and such to be better producers in the early goings of this season. Here's a little bit more from Christian Yelich after the game inside the clubhouse. Audio courtesy from Brewers.com.
Yeah, I mean, it's just 4 games, but we got to do better. You know, it's unacceptable to do that, you know, over the first 4 games. There's different kinds of losses, but, you know, we have to be better than that. And we will be. There's a lot of season left, obviously, but, you know, we got to get things turned around and start to play better. Really all facets of the game. You know, it goes that way sometimes, and I know we didn't do that last year, but every year's a new year, and we got a new team, a new group, and we just need to do better.
How much pressure does that put on the offense when you're playing from behind, like you guys have been?
I mean, it's part of it, you know. It's 3 runs early, though. You know, stuff kind of happens, but you go through tough stretches. This is our tough stretch. And really just got to get that first one and try to build off of it.
How do you guys feel any pressure also offensively, just knowing that your guys' pitching staff is dealing with a lot of injuries right now?
Part of the game.
How do you guys get into a comfort zone when you're down so often at this point? Is there a way to not press and to just kind of do that, or is it just it happens when it happens?
By being down runs?
Well, being in the comfort zone because you are trying to maybe feel that pressure or try not to feel that pressure when you're down by so much.
I mean, you just got to try to put together good at bats, you know, regardless of, you know, what the score is. You know, their guy has some good stuff today. He's making some really good pitches, and you know that contributed to it too, more than you know what the score was early. But you know, pitchers have had our back over the years here many times, and they picked this up. So you know, things will straighten out.
All right, so that's just a little bit from Christian Yelich after the game yesterday, after the Brewers again falling 11-1 to the Royals. Before the game too, or yesterday, I should say, there was some news regarding Brandon Woodruff and Tobias Myers. So Tobias Myers simulated 2 innings, not yesterday, day before, simulated 2 innings in a 32-pitch mound session. He is slated to face hitters on Thursday, and then after that, a rehab assignment at AAA Nashville. So far, so good. No discomfort in his oblique. So progressing well. Don't know if that necessarily means his timeline to return is going to be sooner and such. And then on Brandon Woodruff, getting a little bit closer. He's scheduled for a 3-inning simulation game today, then another on Monday. And if that goes well, if today and Monday go well, he will begin a rehab assignment or make a start at extended spring training. So, again, I think at least for Brandon Woodruff's case, this is probably following that path, that timeline of him potentially returning to this team in May. So, again, if anybody's thinking, okay, could that mean potentially April in that? I doubt it because, well, today, April 1st, he's getting his 3-inning game in, and then again on Monday, which would be the 7th. And then I would imagine he's probably going to, if he, you know, does a rehab assignment or makes a start at extended spring training, it's probably going to be a couple of those. And again, I don't know if they have a plan, like, are they going to try to stretch it out? So like when he does come to the Brewers at the major league level, is he going to be stretched out to a typical starter? They're probably still going to be cautious with him, but I would imagine they're going to give him at least a couple, if not a few, rehab starts before even coming to the Brewers squad. So still seems like following that, hopefully end of May, sometime in May timeline when it comes to Brandon Woodruff returning to this ball club. But at least him and Tobias Myers progressing well. Hopefully, I think we're just like, we need Tobias, we need Jose Quintana to get his work in, and we need these guys back in and trying to stabilize this rotation. The one thing you don't want to do, especially when it comes to the Brewers, a team who is built on defense and pitching, to be asking your bullpen in the first week of the season to stretch it out a little bit, to eat a lot of innings and putting a lot of pressure on them right away. That's the last thing you want to do at the beginning part of the season. And this is the hand that the Brewers are being dealt with right now. It's putting a pressure on everybody, whether it's putting more pressure on the offense, which is true. I mean, the offense has to step up their game, especially your main hitters. It's putting pressure on some of these guys that we didn't expect to be contributors earlier on in the season, or contributors at all, or big-time contributors. It's putting pressure on them to go in there and have some solid performances. It's putting pressure on everybody. I think you kind of see maybe that frustration was boiling a little bit yesterday with Ricky Weeks getting ejected from the game, from arguing balls and strikes from the dugout. But it's got to get that first one. Got to get that first win, and hopefully it can happen tonight and be nice. I think one of the biggest, just get through the first couple innings, at least from a pitching standpoint and maybe from a defensive standpoint, unscathed. Chad Patrick and this defense, can you get through the first and second innings without giving up any runs? And then maybe your offense, besides just spotting one run, getting you a couple of innings, or giving you a couple of runs to put you up in a lead. Not just one. I mean, they did that against the Yankees on Sunday, and that lasted a half an inning. But getting through these first couple innings unscathed. I'm like, all right, we're not playing from behind. We're not playing in a hole. Let's build it, take it step by step, and let's get this first win and get it out of the way, and then we go. Hopefully it comes tonight, because at least we get Freddie on the mound tomorrow. And then you're hoping, all right, maybe we can put together a couple wins here. All right, let's take a break and we'll finish up the first hour. We're going to talk some coming up next hour. We'll talk a little green and golds. We've got our Packer potential prospect series continuing, but we also heard from Packer general manager Brian Gutekunst yesterday. What did he have to say about Jair Alexander and the Packers pass rush? We'll tell you what he had to say. Matt LaFleur is going to be talking with some of the media coming up here this morning at the coach's breakfast. It's one of those league meetings and such. So we'll keep you posted on what Matt LaFleur had to say this morning. But we'll tell you what Goody had to say. And there was something he said about the pass rush that we're going to play a little game that I like to call, what did he really mean? Or a little translation. So that's coming up a little bit later on. Quick break. We'll be back after these few words. Your go-to spot in the Chippewa Valley is the VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking for somewhere for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a place to hang out with some great entertainment and events, you can't beat what the VFW Post 305 has to offer. A great food menu, a wide selection of beverages, and bands on the weekends. Plus, with spring here and summer around the corner, you cannot beat the view of their patio facing the river. So the next time you're thinking about where to have breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or just to have a good time, the answer is simple. It's the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. We got about 12 minutes, 13 minutes or so to the top of the hour. Let's check in on some texts here this morning, as C-Bomb mentioned a little bit earlier. What took Major League Baseball so long on these bats? We had the big red plastic bat with the same shape 40 years ago as kids. Another texter saying not ready to completely throw in the towel on the Brewers, just 4 games into the season. But there's no question this team and Matt Arnold needs to do something to help out Pat Murphy and get some more pitchers on this ball club. Alex with the text here this morning, agree that the offense has to pick it up and help out this pitching staff. Top to bottom, it has been an awful start to the season for everybody on this Brewers team. Nick with the text as well about the Brewers, saying that hopefully the Brewers can just tread some water until everybody's healthy and back. And then once everybody is back, they hopefully they can change this around and get back to being the team that a lot of us expected this year, which is a division winner or a playoff caliber team. We'll talk some more baseball throughout this morning, but don't forget also too, and maybe speaking of baseball, maybe there's some players on this Brewers team that's on your list, with it being April Fool's Day today. First of all, that's just a good reminder out there. April Fool's Day, be careful of stuff and whatever, practical jokers and that. But with it being April Fool's Day, let's have a little fun with this. I'm looking for your list or some nominations of a player, whether it was a free agent, whether it was a draft pick, whether it was a trade, or a player, or excuse me, a team or a coach. Who or what did you think was going to be, that team's going to be awesome, or that draft pick, that dude is going to just be a Hall of Famer? And it ended up being nope. Now, I know a lot of people are picking Tony Mandrich, and maybe for some of you, you were around or you were there. I'm not looking necessarily for the biggest flops. I'm looking for you personally, who you thought was a bona fide, in your opinion. You thought, oh yeah, this is going to be a dude that's going to hit. Or maybe it was a take that you had, an opinion that you had at one point, and nope, you were fooled. You got played. Not necessarily looking for the list of our all-time greatest, flops or busts or anything like that. I'm looking for your personal picks that you thought were going to, hit, and they didn't. So I get it that Tony Mandrich has been a very popular pick, but I'm not necessarily looking for the biggest bust. That's not what we're doing here. I'm looking for, in your opinion, during your lifetime, the player or the team or the move or the coach that you thought was going to be just absolutely fantastic, but didn't work out. Clay, you dirty dog, you. I like that. That boy, Clay. Alex with the quick text. Josh Jones, defensive back, NC State, I think it was. I'll say this. Josh Jones is on my list there too, Alex. Yeah, the big safety. Thought he was going to be a physical safety, come in and be a big hitter in the back end. Yeah, he's on my list. I got quite a few draft picks on this. Posted it up on socials yesterday, and a few responses on here. We got Jabari Parker from Kyle, Matt Garza from Jacob, John going with Nestor Cortez. Again, we're not going to do anything with the Brewers for this year. Okay. No Brewers for this year. They're out of it. That's too easy. Steve went with Terrell Buckley. I remember as a kid, Terrell Buckley, when he was with the Packers, that was always kind of like a diss on the recess playground, calling somebody T-Buck. That was a diss. So I've got my list. Like I said, I've got like 20, and it's a mixture of teams, players, free agent signings, draft picks. So I've got mine on here, and I'll go through that coming up a little bit later. But I wanted to get that out there. C-Bomb, if you're listening still, I know you got some draft picks for your green and gold that you thought were going to be just absolute bangers. And we got fooled. We all did it, so don't be shy. All right? Don't be afraid. This is, I mean, like I said, I've got probably 20 right here, and I'm easily missing out. And this is my own list. Like, these were the players and these were the teams that I thought were going to be really good. And no, I was completely wrong, completely off on this. So, and on the flip side too, it could be like who you thought was going to just be awful, and they maybe fooled you and proved you wrong. I'll tell you right now, 2 quarterbacks that I thought were not good picks, thought they weren't going to play that well, thought they weren't going to be that well. One's going to be a Hall of Famer. One, it's still too early, but he's already surpassed my expectations, and I'm talking about Aaron Charles Rodgers and Jordan Love. I'll admit it. 2005, I was not happy when Green Bay drafted Rodgers. I remember after the pick, I went golfing, and it was a very, very, very windy day. But I was like, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna go to the golf course, and I went golfing. And I think me and my buddy Newman were the only ones on the course because it was so dang windy. But I was like, no, don't like it. And I didn't like the Jordan Love pick, and I'm glad that I was wrong on both of them. So I was fooled in that essence too. I was fooled in that part too. Glad I was. But send me those. I know we've got a list. We all have that player or that team that we thought were just going to be awesome, and it didn't work out. So we'll get to those coming up a little bit later on. Bucks are in action tonight. Just a little bit of a programming note from the powers at be. Since we've got Brewers and Bucks on at the same time, the Brewers game for tonight's first pitch at 6:40. You'll listen to that game at 105.1 FM and 790 AM. The Bucks game will play on our sister stations, 95.9, 1150 The Farm. So just a little bit of a programming note to pass along here this morning. But as the Bucks continue to wrap up their regular season, looking for something to get this thing. You're talking about the Brewers and their stretch here. I mean, the Bucks right now limping into the postseason, sitting in that 6th spot in the Eastern Conference. It is, boy, it's been a struggle as they wrap up this regular season. Obviously, with the Damian Lillard issue with his blood clots and his leg. I mean, that's not something you can really point the finger at with anybody and put the blame on anybody or anything like that. It's just it sucks because you look at the last few years, and ever since the Bucks won the title and we've gotten into the postseason, the Bucks have had a major injury that has kind of affected their playoff run or derailed their season right at the end, and it's looking like that's the case again for this Bucks team. But they're sitting in that 6th spot, 74 games. They got 8 more left to go here. They're just 1.5 back, though, from the Pistons for that 5th spot, 3.5 back from the Pacers. They want to try to get to that 4th seed here. But if the playoffs started today, the Bucks would be visiting the Knicks in the first round. If they can get to that 5th spot, they'd still be on the road, but they'd be going up against the Pacers instead. Don't know if that makes too much of a difference at this point in time, but not to be a Debbie Downer or anything like that. I don't have a whole lot of faith in this Bucks team to do anything in the postseason. I hope I'm wrong. I hope, maybe next April Fools we're talking about this Bucks team. Where I'm like, you know what? I shut the door on them. I didn't think they were going to do anything, and lo and behold, they surprised a lot of people. So I hope a year from today that we're talking about this 2024-25 Bucks team as surprising a lot of people and fooling everybody. They got in the postseason. They made a deep run, but if I'm a betting man, I ain't saying that right now for this Bucks team. I ain't doing that. But they got the Suns tonight with the Suns coming over to Milwaukee, the return of one Bud, Coach Bud, Mike Budenholzer. And then you look at the rest of the schedule here for the Bucks to wrap up this regular season, home against Phoenix. Then they go on a little bit of a road trip here. Philly on Thursday, Miami on Saturday. Miami's actually playing some decent ball. Pelicans Sunday, return home against the Timberwolves, Pelicans, and then wrap up their regular season against the Pistons in a home and away series, which right now, if they enter that series and things are where they currently stand, could decide maybe who's the 6th seed and who is the 5th seed. All right, Seabaum, Dayton Jones, Sammy Watkins, but the one who I thought was going to be a phenomenal signing was Cedric Benson. Boy, was I wrong. Well, not to make an excuse. Remember, Cedric Benson also had that Liz Frank injury, which kind of ends a lot of players' careers. So, don't be too hard on yourself, Seabaum. He did suffer that foot injury, and considering he is a running back and suffering an injury like that, yeah, and it was going to affect him, right? So don't be too hard on yourself on that pick. That one isn't too bad. So, but keep those coming. I'll tell you, Dayton's on mine too. See, Mom, I think I was actually even talking to you after. See, I remember stupid stuff, C-Bomb, and I think we were actually playing in a softball tournament in Menominee. And because Eddie Lacy was a 2nd-round pick, I think we were talking about the Dayton Jones pick. And I think you and I both said we liked it. And, yep, we were wrong on that one, big guy. Wasn't it Fuzzies? I think it was at that tournament, early April, or end of April, talking about that one. So keep those coming. We'll get to our list coming up a little bit later on, but we're going to talk some Packers coming up next after these news updates. What did Goody have to say yesterday? Couple of things stood out, including what he had to say about Jair Alexander, the latest on him, and Goody's thoughts on the pass rush that the Packers currently have. Plus, we'll continue our Packers potential prospect series. And Matt LaFleur is slated to talk to the media, local media, coming up here in a little bit. If anything of note pops up, we'll relay that to you throughout this morning. One in. We got a couple more to go here. Want to hear from you, though. Join in on the convo. Join us on the video streams or hit us up with those texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour on this Grind My Gears Tuesday morning. Happy April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. Getting fooled maybe with the weather. Sounds like we're possibly getting some wet snow and such. So it might be a good, just not quite yet to spring in, getting close to summer, but it might be a good reminder just to pay attention to our website tomorrow morning, sportstalk1051.com for the WEAU 13 News First Alert school closings that are brought to you by Hovland's and Service Master. Just in case, you never know, maybe it's a little bit of a delay tomorrow and such for some schools, but maybe this will be the last one. It is Wisconsin. Who knows though? We've had I don't want to say it. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to finish that. You know where I'm going, so I don't want to jinx it or anything like that. So, or maybe that's part of your Grind My Gears Tuesday. What's grinding your gears? You can text us and let us know and get it off your chest. All right, 715-830-1912 or comment on the video streams. Brewers probably grinding a lot of people right now. Probably grinding their gears with what we've seen from this Brewers team, 0-4 to begin the season. The only team last year to not lose 4 games in a row, and they've begun the season by losing 4. So if that's grinding your gears or anything else, let us know. All right, let us know. So we'll get back to some Brewers talk coming up a little bit later on this morning. We're going to talk some Badgers with Mr. RJ Cardinal. Speaking of Badgers, yesterday, Daniel Freitag announcing he is entering the transfer portal, which is a huge bummer. Huge bummer. And, he wasn't just a couple weeks ago, too. He made comments like there was no plan for him to leave. So something changed, change of heart. But, yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that with RJ, see if he's heard anything or what the rumbling or what the talking is like down in Madison. So right now, Matt LaFleur at the coach's breakfast with owners meetings going on, talking a little bit with the media. A couple of nuggets so far from head coach Matt LaFleur saying that Jordan Love did not need any procedures on his knee. That was injured in the opener last season. That's according to our good buddy Rob Domofsky. And also saying that Jordan Morgan will compete with Rasheed Walker for the left tackle spots. So, and that was something that Brian Gutekunst also mentioned yesterday, that Jordan Morgan would be competing for the left tackle spot. Elton Jenkins is going to be confirmed. Elton Jenkins moving to center, which again we heard and such. So no big surprises there. But we'll see on the Jordan Morgan thing. I mean, does Jordan Morgan have a legit shot to beat out Walker? Yeah, maybe. Is he going to be the starting left tackle this year? I kind of still wonder. Is the quickest path maybe to beat out Sean Ryan at right guard, or maybe it boils down to a couple things. Does Matt LaFleur, do the Packers feel like Sean Ryan or Rasheed Walker are better at their respective positions? Do they feel like Sean Ryan's better at right guard than Rasheed Walker is better at left tackle? Or do they feel Jordan Morgan's a better option at either one of those spots? So, I mean, that's going to be something to watch when we get to training camp and preseason and that. But some other things that Goody mentioned yesterday in talking to some of the local, or talking to the media a little bit. So he mentions not only the offensive line, but he talked about Jair Alexander. In a quote that he said, "We talk weekly about these things and working together on finding the best solution for everybody. We invested a lot in Jair and want to make sure if he's not going to be on our football team helping us win games, that we get something back for that investment. So we'll see where it goes. But again, working with him weekly and trying to figure out what's best for both Jair and the Packers." So he wouldn't rule out or completely close the door on Jair coming back to the Packers. However, if we're going to play a little translation game, or what does he really mean, or what is he really saying type of game here. I think when I hear that quote from Goody about Jair, that speaks, or that to me, he's looking for something and anything in return. He is asking teams, send me a draft pick. Send me a day 3 pick. We want something. We're at this point, we're not just going to cut him. We will take anything. We will take a draft pick, whether it's a 7th rounder, whether it's a 6th rounder, or something. That's what I take away when I hear Goody again say we've invested a lot in Jair, and we want to make sure if he's not going to be on our team, that we get something back for that investment. So while he wouldn't rule it out, I think ultimately Goody just wants to get a draft pick in return, wants to get something in return. And maybe playing a little hardball with some of these teams, because some teams are probably saying, we're not going to send you a pick. We feel pretty good about our chances of landing him in free agency. Or we'd rather take our chances in free agency and signing him there instead of sending you a round 6 pick or whatever the cost is that Goody's asking. Another quote from Goody yesterday, talking about the pass rushers, saying doesn't feel the need to, quote, go chase pass rushers, saying, quote, we can do everything we need to do from the players we have on our roster right now. Because I think there's a significant amount of improvement from those guys, not only year 2 in the scheme, but individually. Translation, in my opinion, they've already got 4 first-round picks on the defensive line. And he's probably hoping and praying to St. Vince or somebody that they finally come through, that everything finally works together and it meshes well. They got a new defensive line coach coming in. They're putting a lot on him, obviously, right now. But when I see that, when I hear that, and not that long ago, what, a month and a half, 2 months ago, he can, he's sitting there 2 months ago saying, we got to be better production from our pass rush. We need to get there with 4. We need to do this. We need to do that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now it's like, yeah, I feel we don't need to go chase pass rushers. I feel like we could get all from our guys that we have on the roster. That just, to me, it's like, hey, Kenny Clark's a first rounder. My old boss drafted him. I drafted Rashawn in the first. I drafted Devontae White in the first. I drafted Lucas Van Ness in the first. We've got 4 first-round picks there. 3 of the 4 were my decisions, probably a big influence on the Kenny Clark one too. We're going to roll with that, and I'm hoping and praying that it works out. Because it costs a lot of money to go out there and get a pass rusher and to lock them up. It costs boatloads of cash. Right now, I ain't got it, or I ain't spending it. That's what when he says, we don't have the need to go chase pass rushers. We can do everything we need to with the players that we have. While inside, I got to imagine he's like, please, for the love of all that is good, let these guys work out, because I used first rounders on them and they need to work out. And part of me is like, oh boy, when it comes to mock draft season and that, or when we get to the draft, is he going to use a first round pick on an edge rusher? I'm not trying to read too much into it, but man, it's tough. Speaking of which, let's do some Packers potential prospects. We'll continue our series. We've really focused on the defense so far. So let's take a look at a couple of wide receivers. Matthew Golden and Jaden Higgins. We'll give you a little bit of a background on those two coming up after these quick words. You know what season it is? It's pothole season, and potholes mean loose debris on the road that kicks up and hits your windshield, leaving one of those lovely cracks in your windshield. Now what? Now what do you do? Simple. Give a call to the experts at Post Glass and Mirror, where their specialists will quickly repair chips and cracks to your windshield. You can trust the fine folks at Post Glass and Mirror in Chippewa Falls to get you back to driving safely by repairing that cracked windshield of yours. Just give them a call today at 715-229-3754. Again, that number is 715-229-3754, or visit them online at postglassandmirror.com. Got to give a shout out to our good buddy Clay from Service Master with dropping off a little cup of Joe here this morning, getting the caffeine kick here. So big thanks to our good friends at Service Master for that. Let's continue our Packers potential prospect series. We're going to take a look at a couple of wide receivers here because we've spent a lot of time. Right, we spent a lot of time on defensive players and that. I mean, we've touched on one wide receiver and such, but let's just kind of switch it up here a little bit because let's be real. Sometimes it just gets a little dull to always talk about defense. We want to talk about some offensive playmakers, right? And maybe, just maybe, Green Bay will use a first-round pick on a wide receiver, or maybe not. Or maybe it'll be an early day too, because that's what we're doing here with this prospect series. We're looking at potential picks that Green Bay could use for their final pick, or for their first round pick, or maybe early day two. And let's start it off with Matthew Golden, wide receiver from the University of Texas. Now, if you look at a lot of the mock drafts, if that's something you pay attention to and such, you probably see him as the first or one of the first wide receivers being thrown out there as possibly even picked in this draft. So there's a chance he may not even be available when Green Bay picks in their current spot if they don't go up and move up. But when we look at for example, what Daniel Jeremiah has to say about Matthew Golden. Golden has average size, but he plays with tremendous polish, instincts, and toughness. He spends a lot of time operating out of the slot. He can defeat press coverage with quickness or strength. He understands how to tempo routes and set up defenders down the field. He can change gears when the ball goes up, and he tracks it naturally. He does a nice job of staying grounded through the catch when working on crossers. He has the utmost confidence in his ball skills. After the catch, he is very strong, sturdy to pull through tackles, and he can make defenders miss in space. I love his temperament on the field. He plays with an edge. Overall, Golden doesn't have dynamic traits, but he's a natural football player and a quarterback's best friend. He's dependable. That's the word that jumps out to me in that whole write-up from Daniel Jeremiah. Dependable. A quarterback's best friend. Because let's rewind it a little bit. What was been a big issue, or what was, maybe a concern that a lot of Packers fans had in the offseason? That's why they wanted a veteran wide receiver. You wanted a dependable receiver, a guy that you could go to when it's 3rd and 2 and you got to pick up this first down, or a 4th and 1, or a 4th and 2 and it's going to be a pass. You need that dependable receiver. So when you hear dependable, attached to a receiver, or a quarterback's best friend, those jump out to you. And when you talk about average size, it's not, and he's 5'11", okay? Is he the tallest receiver in the league? No. But that doesn't mean he can't spend some time on the outside. Okay? He can still play a little bit on the outside. And the dude's got speed. So if Green Bay is looking for a receiver to kind of replace the speed that is gone because of Christian Watson's injury, Matthew Golden could do that. 4.29 40-yard dash. with a 1.49 10-yard split. So you get your speed with Golden. The other receiver that I want to talk is a little bit of, you don't have to worry about height with Jaden Higgins and such. So I mean, Jaden Higgins, when you look at what he brings to the table coming out of Iowa State, this is a bigger receiver. So if you want a big receiver for Green Bay, 6'4", 214 pounds. Here's your height if you're looking for that guy. Ran a 40-yard dash with a 4.47. And I mean, obviously he's that big outside receiver with really good really good ball skills. A little bit of a limited route tree when I was reading some of the scouting reports that are out there on him, but he can operate on all three levels. And the biggest thing that I saw, kind of a common theme from a lot of scouts out there, is like, if he's put in that right scheme, he could be really effective in that. Well, I feel like that scheme is a scheme similar to what the Packers, to what Matt LaFleur runs. So again, when it comes to these wide receivers, and I know I keep bringing this up when we do talk about wide receivers and the potential needs, is what type of receiver, if Green Bay is looking for a receiver in this draft, what type of receiver are they looking for? Are they going to pigeonhole themselves into a certain type? Or are they just going to go with whoever's the best available and that fits within their offense? And I say that because you look at their current roster of receivers right now, and let's take Christian Watson off the depth chart because we don't know when he's going to be back. You're taking away your biggest receiver. Now you've got Dontavian Wicks, 6'1". You've got Romeo Doubs, 6 feet. Jaden, we know, is smaller. Hardman's smaller. Bo Melton's got some speed, but he's about 5'10", 5'11". So and I don't know if this is what Green Bay's thinking or Goody's thinking when it comes to addressing a wide receiver in this draft, are they looking for just those outside receivers that they can stretch the field with and take advantage against maybe some undersized corners? Because if that's the case, if they want a taller receiver where they could, a red zone type of threat, a jump ball type of receiver, Higgins fits that bill. Higgins also has spent some time on the inside. So then you're talking about potentially creating some mismatches by lining up a 6'4" receiver on the inside. Maybe lining up against a slot corner, a linebacker. And if you're Jordan Love and you see that you got your 6'4" receiver matched up on a 5'9" slot corner or a 6-foot linebacker, you're going to take that matchup every single day. But if Green Bay is not necessarily pigeonholing themselves to just saying, hey, we want a 6'2" or taller receiver, we want speed, or we just want the best available, and if Matthew Golden is there, Matthew Golden might be that pick. Not the tallest guy, 5'11", but that hasn't derailed Green Bay before. I believe Greg Jennings was 5'11". He was pretty successful during his time in Green Bay. But Golden also brings you that speed. And when it comes to guys coming from Texas and you talk about speed, they go hand in hand, at least for the last couple of years. So to me, the biggest question when it comes to these receivers in this draft, because you've got such a mix and match or different style clashes within this group. And it'll be very curious because I at this moment on April 1st, I feel like Green Bay is going to draft a receiver in the first 2 days, in the first couple of rounds. I believe that they will. Again, it is April Fool's, so I could easily be fooled on that, and maybe they don't, and maybe they wait till day 3, right? It's completely possible. But I do feel like at this point they will draft a receiver. Now, is it going to be a speedy, maybe a little bit smaller one? Or is it going to be, all right, a guy that's not going to necessarily outrun you, but he can outjump you? And then, we'll talk about this other receiver coming up probably in a future prospect one. But then you've got, Luther Burden from Missouri, 6 foot, a little over 200 pounds. So it'll be interesting to me when I see, or to see what Green Bay goes, what direction do they go? Do they try to find that tall receiver to replace Christian Watson? Or do they try to find that speed guy to maybe replace Christian Watson too? And somebody to just stretch that field. Do they want the height? Do they want the speed? Or do they want just dependable? Do they just want a great route runner? Because all these receivers in this draft bring something a little bit different to the table. And that's what's going to be kind of fascinating for me, is to see what direction they go. Because, yeah, I really do feel like they are going to address or get a wide receiver in the first couple days. And that's either round 1, 2, or 3. A couple more quotes here from Matt LaFleur as he's having some breakfast with some media members. Remember the quotes about remember Ben Johnson, his introductory press conference, when he kind of I don't know if you want to say kind of took a shot. Yeah, he kind of took a shot to Matt LaFleur. When he said that, quote, beating Matt LaFleur twice a year, when he mentioned that, Matt LaFleur kind of downplaying it, saying, quote, I'm sure he's playing to the fans a little bit. It sounds like, too, Matt LaFleur is not in favor of the tush push. I just saw that apparently Raheem Morris is against the tush push, and Matt LaFleur said, that's my guy. He's with me. There's more talk that this could actually maybe there's a language, maybe it's adjusted a little bit. But boy, there really seems to be a push to maybe there's some stuff going on that this could get banned. Sean McVay just now apparently said, quote, I would be surprised if it does wind up being banned. I heard there was a heated argument. I don't believe in banning something because them in Buffalo do it better than anybody else. Some more quotes, though, going back to Matt LaFleur. I know we mentioned a couple of them a little bit earlier, but just kind of catching up on some of the other stuff that he had to say so far this morning. He was asked about the prospect of Aaron Rodgers playing for the Vikings. Quote, it would be a hell of a story, wouldn't it? Well, yes, it would be a hell of a story, Matt LaFleur. Absolutely. But that's actually going to come up in my grind my gears here in a little bit. Just a little bit of a tease. So, but back to the tush push. Why Matt LaFleur is against it. When you look at the play, it's more of a rugby play. It's not really a football play. He did acknowledge that the Packers ran it with Tucker Kraft, but that his offense would adjust if proposal to ban the tush push is in fact passed. So I feel like it's not going to be banned. I do feel like we're going to see some sort of language added to it, or some, how do I want to say this? Verbiage, or they're going to do something to it, alter it a little bit. They may say, I'm just going to throw something out there. well, nobody, no more than one person behind the player pushing him or something. I feel like they're going to do some sort of thing with it, but not completely ban it. I think there might be a little bit of a compromise between the two. Again, I could be completely wrong, but that's kind of the trend or the direction that I feel like it's going. So, all right, let's take a quick break. And coming up, I want to do the players, the teams, the coaches who fooled you. It is April Fool's Day. We all had it. We've all experienced it. We've all been fooled where we thought that free agent or that trade or that draft pick or that coach or that team was going to be really good. And they weren't. Or on the flip side, we thought somebody was going to be so awful, so bad that they were like, yep, they actually were better than I thought. Tip of the cap to you. I got some for both sides of that aisle. Send me yours. Hit me up with a text, 715-830-1912. We'll take our break and we'll get into that exciting. Dudes, I've got over 20, okay? I know you all have at least one, so I want to hear it. And I want to see if we've got a common pick between a lot of these. All right, we'll be back in just a couple minutes. we never want to get in this situation, but what happens when your car breaks down and you need a tow? Who do you call? You call AJM Automotive. Not only is AJM Automotive your go-to place when it comes to auto repairs, but they also offer towing services too, and they offer a discounted towing rate for vehicles brought to their location. So if you get into a situation where you need to be towed and you need to have your vehicle fixed, right on up, AJ Automotive on Brackett Avenue in Eau Claire has you covered. Just give them a call at 715-835-9523. And special thanks too to AJM Automotive, one of our partners, for our draft coverage coming up in just a couple of weeks. So they're hitting the road with us for our draft coverage coming up in a couple of weeks. It is April Fool's Day, so let's have a little fun with this April Fool's Day and come up with our list of the players, the coaches, the teams that fooled you. Either you thought they were going to be really good and they weren't, or you thought they were going to be really bad and they weren't. Okay, I'm sure we all have a lot of the same ones, and nobody has gotten every single opinion right when it comes to the sports world. So, who are those players or coaches, or what was the draft pick, the trade, the free agent signing for you? Or the team that you thought was going to be really good and they weren't. I got a huge list, and it's in no particular order, okay? I started the other day writing them down in a notebook, and whenever they popped up in my head. And again, I probably missed a lot of them. I missed a ton of them, okay? But these were the ones that just kind of popped up in my head right away. And before we're done with this, there's probably a couple more that will maybe pop up in my mind that I have to add to my list. But let's start off with a couple of teams. So I'll just say too, this year and last year's Bucks team. And I was fooled. Now, a lot of it I will say has been injuries. Okay. Dame this year, Giannis last year, but when you make the move to get Dame last year, you pair Dame with Giannis and that, and you look at how everything's kind of transpired in the last couple of years, that has not played up to the expectation that a lot of us, I think, had and wanted and hoped for and thought would happen. So, yeah, I've been fooled by this Bucks team the last couple of years. Because I look at it and I'm like, they should be better. Why aren't they better? But they're not. So get that one out of the way right away. That's a more of a recent one, but it's this Bucks team for the last couple of years. The next team. So again, I got a couple of teams here. I'm going with the 2018 Badger football team. You remember that was the Sports Illustrated cover team? Okay. They were like picked third in the country. High expectations for that team. Super high expectations for that team. And didn't live up to it. Okay. They opened up the season at number 8 in the poll, but I think the Sports Illustrated had them at number 3 or such and had them in the college football playoff. Remember, it was like the SI cover jinx. And that season, I mean, they opened up, beating, all these teams. I mean, they beat South Florida and beating Michigan and such. And it was just, yeah, let me bring up the schedule here. So boom, 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 boom. It's just loading up. But you know which one I'm talking about. I could picture the Sports Illustrated cover because it had the offensive lineman on them. Okay. It was that team. And we were talking about, holy crap, are they actually going to maybe finally go to the to the college football playoff? Are they going to go into the Final Four? Are they going to get this done? Are they going to actually do it? And no, they did not do it. They did not do it. And there were so many high expectations for that group that I think a lot of us thought this was going to be a special year for Badger football, and it didn't work out. Not even close. I was fooled on it. I was 100% fooled on that Badger football team. I think a lot of us were, because we had some super high expectations for that club, and it didn't work out. Not even close. Yeah, and even because when I was looking this up, I mean, they even had a write-up in August on the Badger websites Wisconsin was revealed on Tuesday as one of the four schools featured on a regional cover of Sports Illustrated's college football preview. In conjunction with the reveal of its regional covers, Sports Illustrated released its preseason top 25 rankings, which featured Wisconsin at number 3 in the country. And not even close. Didn't even play up to that. So 2018 Badger football team. I'm putting them on that list for me. Let's do the next team. I'm going to go 2011-12 Packers. The 15-1 season. Coming off the Super Bowl win. We knew the defense stunk that year, but the offense was just like amazing. Even before the season, it was like, okay, because I mean, they had a solid defensive performance in the Super Bowl, and I think the defense was surprised. The performance, it surprised a lot of people from how it performed in that year. But going 15-1, and I remember I got caught up in the undefeated hype, but I remember. Yeah, we got the 1 seed in the postseason. I bought tickets for the divisional round, already planning for the NFC Championship game, had those tickets already in hand. We were going back to the Super Bowl, and then we had the Giants coming in, and the Giants, won their wild card round, but please, Green Bay is going to be able to outscore them and run them out of town. And yeah, we know what happened in that one. So the 2011-2012 Packers. 2020-2021 Packers. I'm putting them on the list too. That was the COVID year. That was when the Packers lost the NFC Championship game to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because for the longest time we kept hearing Aaron Rodgers say, we just need a NFC Championship game at Lambeau. Just need an NFC Championship game at Lambeau. Well, we got one. But it was like doomed starting on New Year's Eve when David Bakhtiari tore his ACL. And remember that Sunday too? It wasn't even like cold. It wasn't even like cold. It was like comfortable for January in Wisconsin. And it's just like you had those couple things working out against Green Bay. But I thought for sure that with that team, I thought we were going to go with the gate. I thought we were going to go to the bowl. I thought we were going to win I thought we were going to go to the Super Bowl with that second year under Matt LaFleur. And nope, got fooled. Players, just a couple. So these were a couple of free agent signings by Green Bay that I thought, okay, paired up with Rodgers, they were going to put up some good numbers. And they were both tight ends. Martellus Bennett, I was like, oh, because I remember that day. It was when we found out that Green Bay wouldn't be bringing back Jared Cook. And a lot of people were pissed. And a lot of people were upset. And then like 45 minutes later, Green Bay signed Martellus Bennett. And then everybody was like, oh, yep, here we go. Pumped. I was pumped. I was excited. Holy crap, that thing didn't work out. That might be one of the worst ones. But I was like, hey, we got Bennett coming over from the Patriots now. We saw what he did when he was in Chicago. Big tight end, good blocking tight end, physical tight end. Now with Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be a guy that's going to cook. Nope. And in the same breath, he was at the back end of his career, but the way I think that for me, and I think for a lot of people, and I know this was a common pick from at least on social media, Jimmy Graham. It's like, oh, Aaron and Jimmy are good friends. You've got this this tall tight end. This should be a guy that's going to just dominate in the red zone. Nope. Got fooled there. Wasn't expecting Jimmy Graham numbers from his prime in the Saints days, but you would have thought, okay, could he be an older version of Bubba Franks where all he does is catch touchdowns, for crying out loud, in the red zone? Couldn't even do that. Was it style of offense, play caller, whatever? I don't know, but got fooled. Some draft picks over the years from Green Bay that I got fooled on. Not all of them are first rounders, but when they were like picked, whether they're like day 2, I'm like, oh, huge bargain, great find in the 3rd round. And no, Dayton Jones was one of them. I remember falling into the trap of when he was selected coming out of UCLA. And he talked a lot about Reggie White. And talked about Reggie White, being like his like the guy that he wanted to emulate and play wise. And I'm like, oh yeah. And just, I remember I think his even his Twitter picture was him with like weightlifting and chains. I mean, he just looked like a chiseled freak. I'm like, okay, we got a guy on the defensive line now that's just going to just wreak havoc after the pass rush. And nope, didn't happen. So yeah, Dayton, no. Didn't work out. Clinton Dix is another one. Clinton Dix, safety. Remember that was the year. Who was the other? Was it Pryor out of the Jets? Was that the other one where there was 2 safeties in the first? I think it was Pryor. But I remember watching that, and it was Clinton Dix, coming out of Alabama. We needed a safety and that. And it was just like, nope. Didn't work out. Got fooled. Maybe not till, it wasn't like just a complete flame out or anything, but I think it was like a lot of us expected like, okay, he's going to be a really, really, really good player for a lot of years to come at that safety position. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Josh Jackson, the corner coming out of Iowa. A lot of us, including myself, had him mocked in the 1st round, and then Green Bay gets him in the 2nd round, and what did that last 2 years? Not even close. And then a couple of other 3rd round picks. When the Packers drafted Amari Rodgers out of Clemson, I remember sitting there like, okay, we need a receiver, and Amari Rodgers still there. And I can't remember who it was, whether it was like Joel Klatt or somebody on one of the broadcasts was saying, Amari Rodgers still there? Why is Amari Rodgers still there? And then Green Bay drafted Amari Rodgers. Like, oh, right. We got this guy that can return punts. He's kind of like a younger version of Randall Cobb. Okay, we got a playmaker. Nope. Same goes to Ty Montgomery. When Ty Montgomery was drafted out of Stanford. Got a slot guy. Nope. Fooled on that one too. I was fooled on Josiah DeGuara. I thought this was going to be our version of an H-back where it's a tight end, fullback. We're going to be utilizing him in the passing game coming out of the backfield. So, I mean, it didn't work out. I got fooled there. Again, could it be scheme? Was he properly utilized? Who knows? But was fooled. I had high expectations for Josiah DeGuara because I was like, okay, you see what the 49ers did with Kyle Juszczyk, and now I was like, Josiah DeGuara was going to be that. Nope. And then I'm going to go way back to one. You're going to go early 2000s. This was a safety that I was high on because I was like, oh, I was at a preseason game, and I think it was the Jaguars. Yeah, they were playing the Jaguars. And this guy is a rookie. Do you remember the tight end Jermaine Wiggins, like this big tight end from Jacksonville? I think it was Wiggins. I don't think it was Mercedes Lewis. Pretty sure it was Wiggins. But he was a big tight end. Yeah, it was 07. Okay, so Jermaine Wiggins was there. But the safety from Green Bay, this rookie safety, just laid a hit on him and took him down. It was like a physical hit. I'm like, oh, this dude's going to be a hitter in the back end. It was Aaron Rouse. You guys remember that safety, the big safety from Green Bay? Believe it was a rookie in 07. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a safety that's just going to be a hard-hitting guy that's going to be able to slow down tight ends, be able to take on tight ends and hit them and just be physical. No, didn't work out. Didn't work out. Couple more players I got on here. Jabari Parker, from the Bucks. I mean, if you were a Bucks fan, we all were pumped about Giannis and Jabari. That was like after what, 1 or 2 years with Giannis, and then you're like, oh, now we get Jabari. Those two are going to carry us for years to come. Nobody talked about Chris Middleton. It was going to be Jabari and Giannis, and I know Jabari went through some injuries and that, but fooled. Going back a little bit to a couple Brewers players, Matt Gamble. Remember the Matt Gamble era? He was the replacement for Prince Fielder. He was this third base guy going to transition to first base, and Matt Gamble was going to be the long-term fixture at first base. And again, I know he went through some injuries, but got fooled on that one. We were all pumped about Matt Gamble. And then one more Brewer player, Kyle Loesch, the Kyle Loesch era for the Brewers. And I think a lot of it was, what he did with the Cardinals, high expectations coming. And he wasn't awful for the Brewers, but he did not pitch at a level, did not play at a level like he did for the Cardinals. I thought that was just going to be a banger of a signing, and this was going to be a guy that was going to be the top ace of the staff for a few years, and no. And then for a couple players and for a couple people that I thought were going to be bad, that I was wrong. Aaron Rodgers, didn't like the pick. I was so upset I went golfing on a windy day and sucked. Didn't like it. I was wrong. Looks like I was wrong on Jordan Love too, and I am perfectly happy to be wrong on those guys. And I was wrong on Mike McCarthy. I hated that when they hired Mike McCarthy. I remember as a college kid, I made a stupid Facebook group page to fire Mike McCarthy in 2007. Mike McCarthy, and I know there's Mike McCarthy haters out there. He had a successful run with Green Bay. You have to admit it. So I was wrong on those. Those are my picks. Plenty more, but that's what I got for now. Perfect timing. There you go. 2 hours in, we got one more to go. Grind my gears coming up, and then we'll talk some Badgers with Mr. RJ. Final hour on this Tuesday morning coming at you. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Coming up in about 10, 15 minutes, we'll switch gears and talk a little Badgers with Mr. RJ Cardinal. We'll talk a little bit about Daniel Freitag announcing he is entering the transfer portal. So we won't be able to see him suiting it up for the Badgers. So we'll talk about that and more things with the Badgers. Speaking of college basketball, we know the Final Four now for the women's. UConn punching their ticket after defeating USC last night, and Texas taking down TCU. So Texas and UConn joining UCLA and South Carolina in the Final Four. We'll get back to some more text surrounding the Brewers and such. Brewers tonight looking for their first win of the season, taking on the Kansas City Royals. Again, programming notes from the powers at be. You will be able to hear the Brewers game on 105.1 FM and 790 AM. And then the Bucks game, which is scheduled to be around the same time, it's going to air on our sister station 95.9 and 1150 AM. So if you want to listen to the Bucks one, it'll be on that one. If you want to listen to the Brewers, it'll be on this station. So let's do a little grind my gears Tuesday for you this morning. So I'm gonna go with my grind my gears because it's more of I don't know if it's grinding or if it's more of an annoyance. It's probably more of an annoyance right now at this point. But I'll keep saying I know it's probably kind of overplayed and dull at this point, but the whole Aaron Rodgers stuff. And what really kind of gets me now is this past weekend, and there's a photo out there. He threw routes with DK Metcalf, played catch with DK Metcalf, met up with him and doing a little pitch and catch and such, yet still undecided. I mean, for crying out loud, dude. Like, really, this is getting incredibly tiring. More tiring. I didn't think it could get any more tiring. It's getting more tiring. Like, I thought it was like, okay, this over the top. Nope. Now it's like you still can't commit, but no, you'll go play catch with DK. You'll go meet with the Steelers. You'll do this, and it's like, for the love of all, dude. I mean, crying out loud, just sign on the dotted line and get this thing over with, because this is annoying, and what's worse. And it's not necessarily what's worse, but if Rodgers signs with the Steelers, I have to imagine the NFL. I have to imagine the NFL is waiting on Rodgers' decision too before they release a certain game, because for the longest time we have heard it's going to be Packers and Steelers in Ireland, and yesterday it was announced. Because once in a while, you get these teams that have international rights to different markets and such. And Green Bay was one of those teams that didn't have that for the last few years. But yesterday, they were awarded with some international markets, marketing rights for some international markets. One of them is Germany. Makes all the sense in the world. I mean, for crying out loud, come on. I mean, what took so long to get the Germany one? I don't know how the whole process is. But like, Packers are one of 11 teams in Germany. But they got that one. They got Ireland, and they got the UK. Ireland. Pittsburgh's playing in Ireland. Packers have to play at Pittsburgh this year. That's why everybody assumed, even before this announcement, it was reported it was going to be Packers taking on the Steelers in Ireland. Now you got Packers getting Ireland marketing rights. But yet this game hasn't been announced because of one reason, in my opinion, and one reason alone. Rodgers. Because do you think the NFL necessarily wants to schedule a game for 8:30 on a Sunday morning, even though it would be on their own network and they could make a lot of money with it? That could be a deciding factor. But ultimately, do you think they would like to have Rodgers playing against his former team in Ireland at 8:30? Probably not. And he is the lone person that's probably hanging this up, because I feel like if Rodgers ultimately finally comes out today that he signed with Steelers, there's probably going to be a little bit of an adjustment in the schedule. Maybe not. Maybe they still go on with it. But I mean, you're talking that'd be like, let's say Favre after a couple years, but he was with the Jets and then he's playing Green Bay, but they decide to do it in Mexico. No, they're going to try to find a way to make it a prime time, must see, big time game. Markets are good, or our networks are going to want to pay money for that game. NBC would love to have that as a Sunday night game. Fox would love to have it. CBS, Amazon, ESPN. It'd be like a bidding war for that. But this whole stupid thing of like, hey, let's get together and play catch. Like, is that going to be a deciding factor for you, whether you're going to sign with the Steelers or not? It's so stupid and it's so annoying. You obviously want to play. You want to play. You're just not happy with all of the options that are out there. And whose fault is that? It's yours. I'm sorry, but it is yours. You are a big reason why this is. You've got literally one option that's left out there. An option that allows you to be in a good spot to make the playoffs. You are a big reason why there's just this one. And you may not be happy about it. And you're going to play a little hard to get. But you are the main reason why you are in this situation. And it's just becoming, I didn't think it'd become as unbearable or as annoying as it is, but it is. And I hate this. And this is the other part. Like, I hate this. I hate seeing this. I hate witnessing this and watching all this transpire, unfold in front of our eyes. Because I am uberly grateful as a fan, for one, to have been wrong about him when he was selected by Green Bay. But I hate seeing it because he is one of the best Packers of all time. One of the best of all time. And to see this at this point where now it's just like, dude, go away. I hate that. Like I hate that. Like, I don't know what Patriots fans were. I can't imagine Patriots fans had that feeling with Brady when he was with Tampa Bay. Probably sucked for them to watch it and probably still wishing he was there. But I don't think there was like this annoyance for Patriots fans to Brady. Like, they're just like, okay, we're tired of you. We're sick of you. Go away. I don't think there was. And I just hate seeing this because, I mean, when 12 got, when he was a starter and, came in with not a lot of fanfare, won fans over with his play, and it felt like his personality and his charisma. And then the last few years, just things changed. And I hate seeing that because he is one of the all-time greats. And he played for my favorite team, a lot of our favorite team. And his Q rating right now is not the greatest. And it just stinks. Just stinks. Oh, all right. So that's my grind my gears for this morning. If we have any other good ones, we'll get those. We'll relay those if we got some time a little bit later on here this morning. Brewers back at it. Before we get to RJ, quickly, again, reminder: Brewers back at it tonight. First pitch around 6:40. Chad Patrick's going to get the start for the Crew, as the Brewers hoping maybe to get some innings out of him and eat up some of those innings. But hopefully Brewers aren't digging themselves into a hole right away and putting themselves in like a 3-4-0 spot, kind of like how it went yesterday with Rodriguez on the mound. Rodriguez did eat up 4 innings, did get that job done, but 3 runs in the first inning and putting the Brewers in a hole right away. But the offense too, I mean, this team knows the hand they're dealt with when it comes to the pitching group and the injuries that they have suffered. It's the offense now has to take a little pride and start to play a little better. I understand it's tough It takes a mental hits when you get yourself in a hole like that. But your top 4 hitters can't have just one hit yesterday. Your top 4 in your lineup can't have one hit. Jackson Churio can't strike out 3 times again, batting in the leadoff spot. Other dudes have to step up and play better baseball. And that's Christian Yelich. That's Contreras. That's Hoskins. That's Churio. They know what they hit the hands dealt. They got to up their game up a little bit more too. We'll see if they can do that. Pick up their first win. At least we get Freddie Peralta on the mound tomorrow. So maybe feeling a little bit better about that and hopefully a potential series winning matchup. Depending on the result for today's game before the Reds come to town this weekend. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll switch gears and we'll talk a little Badgers with Mr. RJ Cardinal. He's coming up after these quick words.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Hey there, Chippewa Valley. Join Infinity Beverages for their spring open house this Saturday, April 5th to enjoy $5 wine slushies, open tours, and Nene's Taco Food Truck. Plus, pick up your bottles of seasonal summer sangria and summer heat, ready-to-drink bottled cocktails. Remember, Infinity's new spring seasonal cocktail menu is now available. 18 seasonal specialty cocktails, old fashions, and sangrias to experience, plus dozens of classic cocktails and wines by the glass to enjoy, too. Infinity's family-owned winery and distillery has been handcrafting one-of-a-kind wines and spirits in the Chippewa Valley since 2010. Take a sip of Infinity anytime. The tasting lounge is open year-round, 6 days a week. Book a tour, enjoy a tasting, or find Infinity at your local retailer. They look forward to hosting you, your friends, and family. Check them out at infinitybeverages.com.
Infinity Beverages, winery and distillery. Take a sip of Infinity.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you ready to get your musical game on? Are you a 7th to 12th grade Wisconsin garage band that wants to play Summerfest, the world's largest music festival? Then Rockconsin wants you. All genres of music are invited. Rock, reggae, rap, jazz, country, or whatever style of music you play. This is the only program of its kind in the nation. Check out rockconsin.org for more information. Registration is free. This competition will showcase 10 statewide garage bands at the big gig. The winner and runner-up each receive a second gig at Summerfest and a professional recording session. Check out rockconsin.org. That's ROCKONSIN.org. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Rockconsin is brought to you by the Nicholas Family Foundation and made possible by the support of Madison Area Music Association, Tilt Media, WEAU 13 News, Shure, I-94, Rockconsin, Youth Garage Bands Rocking Wisconsin, produced by Dennis Graham Associates.
Fleet Farm's kicking off a new season of deals with our Bring On Spring Savings event. Freshen up your landscape with bags of superior shredded mulch. On sale now, 5 for $10. Get a free $20 gift card when you buy $100 of select Columbia footwear and apparel. And swap out that old fishing line with some Berkeley Fire line. Now just $15.99 a spool. Bring on spring with great seasonal supplies at the best prices guaranteed at Fleet Farm.
Cars today, built to last, but how they look is up to you. That's where Mako comes in. They specialize in cosmetic repairs, from affordable paint jobs to fixing those annoying dents and dings. Maybe your car's paint is faded, or you've been meaning to fix those scrapes from the grocery store parking lot. We've all been there. Whatever it is, Mako has you covered. The best part, Mako's tax season sales event is happening right now. Stop by your local Mako and find out how easy it is to refresh your ride. With more Americans keeping their cars longer, now's the time to protect your investment and keep it looking sharp for years to come. At Mako, they're proud to be a trusted partner for drivers across the country. Whether it's giving your car a fresh coat of paint or fixing up those everyday dents and dings, Mako is here to keep your car looking its best. Get started. See how easy it is to bring new life to your ride. A little TLC. Better get Mako.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code YEAR to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't wanna see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now, no more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
Broadcasting live from the TDS Sports Talk 105.1 studios, it's the Dan Kasper Show.
Easy math question for everyone. When you add spring and baseball together, what do you get? The answer is simple. It's brats. So fire up those grills for some tailgate parties or backyard barbecues this spring and summer with some brats from Mike's Star Market. Whether it's their Bloody Mary or beer brats, Mike's Star Market has so many different options of brats for you to choose from that you will easily be the talk of your tailgate party or neighborhood cookout. Celebrate the beginning of spring and baseball season by making a stop at Mike's Star Market, located on the west side of Eau Claire. He was at yesterday's home opener. So before we get to a little Badger chat, RJ, outside of the result of the game and such, I know we talked a little bit about it last week. What was it like, especially with it being the first home game and obviously with no Bob Uecker there? Was the emotions pretty high in that building yesterday?
Yeah, when you got to the video beforehand, hearing his former colleagues talk about him, and then just the video in general. I mean, it was a little somber to start out, but it was a fitting tribute, and it was just a little emotional to start things off. But overall, outside of the game itself, the day was pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully they get their first win tonight, and then we can start talking about winning some ball games. So
that'd be nice. Maybe they're just not day game players. So.
There you go. Yeah, need a little prime time under the lights. So, Hey, excuse me. Let's start off with basketball because yesterday, hey, at least the news. Well, we got a couple things for basketball, but something actually happened before I talked to you. So that's kind of interesting. But Daniel Freitag going to the transfer portal, which, I mean, it was just a couple weeks ago. I mean, he was making comments like, I'm staying here. This is where I want to be. If they still want me here, this is where I want to be. This is where I'm going to be. And now he's entering the transfer portal. I mean, one, that's got to be a shock. But two, how big of a loss is this, RJ?
Well, he never really got into the rotation this year. And it's not like they didn't need people to play. But every time you heard talk of him, it was like he's getting there. He's learning. He's getting to know the system. But it was happening all year. And then even when he was in sometimes in blowout scenarios, he wasn't handling the ball the best still. And wasn't. He's a quick, athletic player, but it didn't really look like he was there yet to be able to even look to be getting playing time. It's a 4-star player. It's another roster spot you now have to go out and fill. Who had all the potential in the world. It's just really hard to say how much of a thing you're missing for somebody who really wasn't contributing.
Mm-hmm. And he's go ahead.
And then that's not trying to take anything away from him. It's just in that scenario, how can you actually evaluate what you're missing?
Mm-hmm. He's been last year, you go back to when Chucky Hepburn left and all these guys were leaving, then you had the Greg Gard, apparently text him and say, be ready, and you're kind of like, okay, we're going to see this guy early, and you keep hearing all this positive stuff about him. And then, obviously we saw what John Blackwell did this year, Kamari McGee and John Tanjay and such, and maybe did he get lost in the shuffle, but it's been a really weird, interesting year when you kind of factor in everything that happened last year, and Greg Gard's so high on the kid to now he's not going to be with the Badgers anymore.
It could be one of those two where we're talking NIL.
Yeah.
And if they want me becomes if they want to pay me what I'm asking. And maybe they weren't willing to do whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really one of those, hopefully it wasn't that. Well, more likely than not, it was that. But it's just going to be interesting to see what actually transpires now on that whole scenario and what comes to light as we look at this and see what we have in terms of what broke out. I know Jesse Temple, whenever somebody leaves a program, either football or basketball, he normally does quote unquote exit interviews with them. So we'll see if he sheds any light on that. And I know most of the time the coaching staff doesn't like commenting on that kind of stuff. So really, I guess we'll just have to get Daniel Freitag's story on it and see what happens.
Yeah. Staying with basketball, but something that happened last week that, of course, happened after we got done talking to you, but the Badger women's team has their new head coach, Robin Pingeton from Missouri. And I don't know if you know too much about her or the hiring, but at least from social media reaction, RJ, it felt like a lot of Badger fans were, maybe the best way to put it, underwhelmed by this hire.
Yeah. You have a coach who resigned from Missouri due to poor performance and poor output from her team over the last few years. Somebody who hasn't really won at the D1 level of a Power 5 conference, who, in Wisconsin, some of the graphics they made up were just telling lies.
Mm-hmm.
About her coaching career when you can easily look it up. And I know there was 2 conference championships while she was at Illinois State, but the graphic said she won 2 SEC tournament championships, which never happened. But it is a surprising hire in the sole fact it basically looks like Wisconsin is giving up on women's basketball. The coaching pool money is less. They're not willing to help with NIL, apparently. So it's going to be hard to get a coach in here. And a coach who just resigned has had a couple of girls from the last few seasons accuse her of allegations of mental abuse, as well as a coach whose friend, possibly, there's a question mark there, because the person who led the search for Wisconsin and for Missouri is the wife of the men's basketball coach at Missouri, and got Missouri, Tennessee's old coach, who did well there, and a lot of people were looking at her for top jobs everywhere, and got Wisconsin, an older coach might be nearing the end and not having so much success at the end of their career. So it is a little interesting to see what this hire was, but yeah, not a lot of positivity going around the Wisconsin women's basketball program right now.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. I want to talk a little football here too. You mentioned Jesse Temple a little bit earlier, but there was a piece in The Athletic just a couple days ago, and a pretty interesting quote from Gavin Meyer, who committed to go play football at Minnesota. And this was one of the quotes he had, and they're saying, and he was recruited by Wisconsin, but he had to say, I have to keep in mind that this isn't the same Wisconsin they used to be. This isn't the Barry Alvarez Wisconsin. I don't like throwing shade at anybody, but because Wisconsin is still a great program, but Minnesota, they've proven to be good the past 3 or 4 years. They've beaten Wisconsin. So, I mean, this is a younger kid throwing out, Barry Alvarez. This isn't the Barry Alvarez Wisconsin era. I mean, I know you have talked quite a bit about the last couple of years in the Luke Fickell era and such, but I mean, when you hear a recruit kind of say stuff like that, RJ, what goes through your mind a little bit?
Well, like you said, I mean, he was not alive during that time period, so I'm guessing they did some crafting with somebody of what to say. Because I mean, you could have just thrown out any era since Alvarez, like the ones you were alive for. But I think he's just putting out stuff that he's probably heard other people say, and using that to not really put the focus on him, of saying there are some more highly rated offensive linemen in the class that Wisconsin has ahead of me. So I went somewhere where I could probably have a better chance of playing sooner. And I mean, I guess if he hasn't met the new offensive coordinator yet, or what Wisconsin is planning on doing with their offense, it's really one of those. I don't understand how people commit to PJ Fleck, but there's kids who like him and will do everything they can to go play for him. But it's odd when you hear people who never watched Ron Dane play, never watched Carl McCullough play, never watched some of those older teams, Joe Panos, Chris McIntosh, all that. You go back throughout the years, and kids who are referencing that, and it's not like all that film, even from the 90s, is readily available for you to go watch and be like, yeah, the Alvarez era team. They are held in high regard. They get talked about a lot, about leading the country in rushing most of the time outside of the service academies. But it's still a little weird to hear, because I think he's still 17.
Yeah, and he's
a junior.
He's a Wisconsin kid too, right? He's Janesville, I think.
From down Janesville Parker, yeah. But it's a little odd to hear somebody who, wasn't around for any of the Alvarez era to reference it, and especially when nowadays most kids you talk to won't listen to an argument about LeBron and Jordan because they've never seen Jordan play live. So it's a little weird. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more other reasons. Like I said, I think if you go look at the recruiting classes on the O linemen and who the Badgers are targeting and who Minnesota's targeting, I've seen a little more stars in the Wisconsin offensive line. Kind of people are high on them. So and then even the room right now, I know Minnesota just had a very upperclassman laden offensive line, and I think a few of them are going to be gone by the time his recruiting class rolls around next year. So it could be a playing time situation. It could just be you see what the rest of the class looks like, or if it really is yeah, it's not the Alvarez era anymore. I mean, it hasn't been the Alvarez era since 2003, really,
Mhm.
because then, I guess I could give it to him until he actually stepped away from football. But I mean, when Brad Bielema took over, the Alvarez era ended.
Mhm.
Technically, if you wanted to say something, you could say the Bielema era at Wisconsin, or even the Christ era at Wisconsin, because even though that ended poorly, he still had some of the highest scoring offenses and still could run the ball even 3 years ago. So it's not like it's not like it dropped off the face of the earth after Alvarez. It dropped off the face of the earth when you hired Phil Longo.
Mhm. Well, I not to get all point fingers or conspiracy theory, but I saw some people saying this. Is this maybe a PJ Fleck sales pitch to these potential recruits? Is this something that, other coaches of other programs, would that surprise you if that came from another coach, essentially?
Oh, absolutely not. From what I understand, PJ Fleck, even though he hates negative recruiting, he's one of the biggest offenders of it.
Mm.
It happens all over the place. I'm not saying Wisconsin never has or never will do it. It happens all over the place. But from what I hear, Fleck is one to point out deficiencies from other schools rather than propping up his own school.
So rowing the boat on other schools, essentially, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, yeah, because it was so weird. Like you're right, because the kid's still in high school, and a lot of these people, a lot of these kids probably never even watched a single game with Barry Alvarez roaming the sidelines, for crying out loud. So it was kind of a weird comment.
Unless they watched over the bowl games where he came in and did one-off coaching,
Mhm.
Other than that, it's really not. I don't. Yeah, it's a little confusing when a 17-year-old can talk about an era that he never watched.
Mhm.
And I mean, it happens. I get it, but like when somebody's citing that, and you're born, if you're 17, you're born in 2008. That was Bielema's first year. So like,
Yeah.
Or 2007 was Bielema's first year. So by the time you were one, depending on when you were born, Alvarez has already been retired for a year. And
Mhm.
I mean, depending on who you are, and Alvarez was still pulling the strings and doing all that. So the Alvarez era was still going. But it's a little odd citing based on you, an 18-year-old coaching regime.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Hey, RJ, before I let you go, just really quick back to basketball and such. Was Daniel the only one that we've heard so far that you heard or know of that has entered the transfer portal? I know we got, the graduating seniors and such, but is he the only one that you've heard so far that is entering the transfer portal? And, I've seen stuff on social media too. It seems like Greg Gard and the Badgers right now are really hitting that transfer portal and trying to bring in some potential reinforcements, because I think I've seen Wisconsin linked to multiple transfer portal candidates right now.
Yeah, like a few I've never even heard of before, but like, hey, I really hadn't heard of John Tange before either. So
Right. I suppose Cameron
even,
Hunter's in the transfer portal too, right?
Cameron Hunter was the first one to exit, and I think that happened late last week. So
Mhm.
that was also after we had talked. But so that's another guard who exited the transfer portal before pre-tag, and you'd think you'd look at that, and like I said, it makes me think it's more of a money thing.
Mhm.
Because I mean, outside of John Blackwell, who's the other guard on the team?
Right. Exactly.
Everybody left. So I think he was. I think we'll find out. He was asking for some more money. We'll see where he lands. It's a little odd at the timing of his transfer. But yeah, you're right. Some of these names, and like it's not even ones I can remember, but I'm like, oh, look at that. He does that guy's pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
you look at his numbers and all that, and then you look at his size, and you're like, I think he could fit in the system here, just
Mhm.
based on previous 2 years of wings who had some great success, and whether they moved on and had a little bit of a trouble, or whether we're going to see what happens with John Tanjay as his kind of draft stock went up progressively throughout this year. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, it does seem like there's a new rumor of Wisconsin being in on somebody every day, and it just depends on how much of these Twitter accounts you can believe if you've never heard of them before.
Mm-hmm.
But looking forward to seeing what we got, because now it's there's quite a few spaces to fill on this roster now, because I think we were at 3 and you have 2 guys leave, so we're at 5 roster spots to fill, and we'll see if anybody else is heading out, I guess, during this process. So hopefully not, because a third of the team that you need to fill even after your freshman class comes in, that's going to be a little challenging. But worked out last year, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, I saw it last night. They need another big man. Hunter Dickinson's got his 7th year. He's got a waiver to go for another year, man. So
Seriously?
Yeah. He received a waiver for his 7th year of eligibility, and he will enter the transfer portal. So
to do what? Like how?
As a friend of mine posted too, he's looking forward to being the first father-son duo to play in the NCAA. So
there you go. That's great.
But yeah,
Nice.
I couldn't believe that 7 years for Hunter Dickinson. Man, jeez. Now where's he gonna go?
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's gonna be a 25-year-old playing in college basketball still.
Mhm.
I mean, that just lets you know he's like not getting anything in looks at the NBA. I
No.
mean, he just can't be.
No.
So he's making his money here while he can, and I mean, I guess he's a good enough college player. He's annoying and all that kind of stuff, but whatever.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, bud. Go make your money before you gotta get a real job, I guess, or go play in Europe.
He's probably holding on. Maybe hey, I gotta do the bingo card and maybe play for Duke or something. So yeah. Do that. So hey, before I let you go, what's your final 4 picks?
Well, I have Houston in my bracket, and I think I finished 3rd if I do that, so that'll be good. But at a local establishment here, my friend group, we have a bracket within the local establishment. If either Florida or Duke wins, we get 2 Miller Coors sponsored parties.
Nice.
So for me personally, I'd like Houston. For the group of buddies I'm with, Duke or Florida works, but I'll go with Houston. And so hopefully one of those 3 wins. If it's Auburn, we're screwed.
You got 3 out of 4. It's not bad. Your chances are pretty good. So, but I think it's going to be a fun Final Four, don't you?
I do too. Yeah. I mean, you get a rematch of Auburn, Florida on the one side, and then it'll be interesting to see Houston's defense up against Duke. So, and then either way, whatever matchup you get coming out of those 2, I mean, it's bound to be appointment viewing basketball for the national championship.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He's RJ Cardinal, our Badger guy from the Zone in Madison. Dude, appreciate the time, and I'll be checking social media probably later on today to find out what we're going to be talking about next week. So,
in a couple of minutes.
Exactly. So, enjoy the week, buddy, and we'll catch up with you soon. Okay.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. RJ Cardinal joining us here this morning. We'll take a quick break and pick some predicts coming up to wrap up this program in just a few minutes. When it comes to one-stop shopping, there's truly only one store in the Chippewa Valley that can carry that title, and that's Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. From grocery shopping and picking up some new team apparel, in their sports shop, to grabbing a beverage at the bar or picking up something from their massive wine and spirits department, Hy-Vee has something for everyone. And if you want someone else to cook for the night, hey, they got you covered with many different options from their food court. Then when you head out, don't forget to fill up your gas tank with the fuel savers you earned by shopping at Hy-Vee. Just filled up this morning on the way to work over at Hy-Vee. Shop smart, shop Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. All right, we got 9 minutes to the top. Let's wrap it up with some picks and predicts this morning. We've got basketball, NBA, Bucks. I'll admit it. You're kind of checked out with how the Bucks are going right now, unless you're a diehard Bucks fan. I mean, I'm still watching, still paying attention, still rooting for them, but it is tough watching them right now, and just the way they're playing, and I don't know, it stinks. It stinks. But Bucks will be back at it tonight, taking on Phoenix. Before that, though, let's pick some other games. Picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. Portland at Atlanta, give me the Hawks. Philly at the Knickerbockers, give me the Knicks. Magic at San Antonio, give me the Magic. Raptors, Bulls, I'll go with the Bulls. Warriors, Grizzlies, give me Golden State. Timberwolves visiting the Nuggets, I'm going to go Denver. Phoenix at Milwaukee, I'll go Milwaukee. Get the win. End this losing schneid that you're on tonight. Let's do some baseball picks before we do the Brewer one. We've got Mets taking on the Marlins of Miami. I'll go with the Mets. Rangers taking on the Reds. I'm going to go with the Rangers. Diamondbacks taking on the Yankees. So will the Torpedo Bats, and Corbin Burns is on the mound tonight for the Diamondbacks. Will Corbin Burns be able to silence those bats in New York? Or will they be torpedoing the ball out there? So, I'm gonna go Diamondbacks. I'm gonna go Diamondbacks. Come on, Corbin. Let's go, Corbin. I'm gonna go Diamondbacks. Pittsburgh and Tampa. Go with the Pirates. Nationals, Blue Jays. I'm gonna go with the Blue Jays. Twins at the White Sox. Come on, Twinnies. We're going to go with the Twins today. Angels, Cardinals. Heck, I'll go Cardinals. Giants at Houston. I'm going to go with the Giants with Logan Webb on the mound. We got Cleveland taking on the Padres. Logan Allen, Michael King. I'm going to go with the Padres. Detroit, Seattle. I'll go with the Tigers. Chicago. They were busting out their bats last night against the A's. Steele, Severino. You know what? I'll go A's bouncing back tonight. Why not? And then Atlanta taking on the Dodgers. Dodgers picking up the win last night. Chris Sale's on the mound, so I'm going to go with Atlanta. And I will Lorenzen versus Patrick for the Brewers. Gosh. Everything should say Royals tonight. I'm going to try to be optimistic and say Brewers win the tonight, though. I'll try to remain optimistic, and I will go with I'll go with the Brewers. So those, again, are your picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. Again, programming note to pass along. Brewers will be on the radio dials tonight at 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Bucks will air on our sister station 95.9 and 11:50 AM. So just because both games are going to be going on at the same time, passing that along in case you're tuning in and you're wanting to listen to one or the other, boom, or get both radios out and boom, there you have it. You're covered. So, but first pitch tonight for the Brewers, 6:40. Bucks are going to tip off around that same time because we know NBA games never, ever, ever, ever start on time. So it'll be around the same time. Be this busy night in Milwaukee with people going to the Bucks game, if there's anybody going to the Bucks game tonight, and anybody going to AmFam. So Hopefully tomorrow, though, we'll talk about a win for this Brewers team and get set for another day game, getaway day for Kansas City, because tomorrow's game's first pitch is at 12:10. Freddie Peralta is at least on the mound for the Brewers tomorrow. But Brewers, we'll see if they do any more roster moves, maybe get some fresher arms and such up. But they did put Aaron Savali on the injured list yesterday with that hamstring injury. So the injuries continue to mount for this pitching staff. We'll see if they make any more moves coming up either today or tomorrow and such. But maybe some positive news when it comes to their pitchers. We got a Brandon Woodruff and a Tobias Myers update. So let's start with Tobias Myers. Seems like he's still, I don't think he's ahead of schedule necessarily, but maybe on schedule to return by the end of this month, because he this was from, I believe it was from Kurt Hogg. Yeah, this was actually Kurt Hogg had this about Brandon Woodruff. Brandon Woodruff's return to a big league game is getting closer. He's scheduled for a 3-inning simulation game, which is today, and then on another one on Monday. And if that goes well, he will begin a rehab assignment or make a start at extended spring training. So that one, at least it looks like he's still probably end of May. Best timeline for Brandon Woodruff. They're not going to push that one up, even with all the injuries. They're not going to push it with him. So it still looks like potentially the end of May for Brandon Woodruff. For Tobias Myers, he got some work in and did not feel any discomfort in that oblique injury. So hopefully that means we're getting a little bit closer to Tobias Myers potentially making a return. Yeah, it's right here. Simulated 2 innings in a 32-pitch mound session. It would have been Sunday, and it's slated to face hitters on Thursday. And then after that, a rehab assignment at AAA Nashville. So maybe in a couple weeks here for Tobias Myers. And then when it comes to Quintana, Jose Quintana will throw a minor league extended spring game on Sunday, and then he will be eligible to come back on April 11th. And that's where the Brewers actually begin a series in Arizona. So maybe he'll return for that series in Arizona, assuming that's where he's going to still be at with that extended spring game. So we'll see. But maybe it looks like Arizona series or back at home when they face the Tigers in the middle of April. So Quintana before, then Tobias, and then we'll see about the rest of the staff there. Fingers crossed. And maybe we'll actually talk about a Bucks win tomorrow too. So, really quick, again, Matt LaFleur chatted a little bit today with some of the media at the coaches' breakfast for owners' meetings. Nothing. We kind of went through some of them, and this is where you're getting votes for rule changes or anything like that. One thing that did pass, owners pass a rule guaranteeing each team a possession in overtime. So thumbs up for that. The Lions' proposal to eliminate a first down for defensive holding did not pass. So anybody hoping that would pass, that one did not pass. Rule changes need 24 out of 32 votes to pass, just as a reminder. So we'll see if the tush push, might be today, the tush push gets banned, tabled, voted down. We'll see. NFL also approved the expansion of replay assist. So the proposal called for adding fouls for hits on a defenseless player, grabbing the face mask, performing a horse collar tackle, tripping, and running into or roughing the kicker to be covered by the process. So more starting to trickle out right now. Anything big, though, we'll talk about it coming up tomorrow morning. Same place, same time tomorrow, 6 a.m. as we're halfway through the week tomorrow. So we'll do a little game time. We got a few things planned up for tomorrow on April 2nd. Should be a lot of fun. DP Dance, they're up next, though. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll do this again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. See you then.